just to start with, how many of us here, just by a show of hands, have ever been told just to tolerate somebody? What do munyel, ya hakuri kawai, or I beg, just manage? Anyone here? Okay. We are taught from a very early age that tolerance is a virtue, and perhaps it is. But what we forget to understand is that tolerance is not enough. Tolerance is not enough. Tolerance is not enough. And if there's one thing I want you to take away from today, is exactly that statement. For us here, it's important for you to note that the lowest standard that you can put for yourself as a human being is tolerance itself. Because it might be fine to say, okay, say it's your sibling that tells you to tolerate somebody, your spouse, your supervisor, a parent, whomever that may be. But we cannot then build communities, build our nations solely based on tolerance. We cannot build a better Nigeria, a better community for ourselves solely based on tolerance. Because to tolerate somebody means you're enduring someone's existence. And we endure Yola's weather, for us that are just getting used to it. We endure traffic. We endure mosquitoes. We cannot simply say that we are going to endure one another. It's not enough. Tolerance itself, it's a decision, and coexistence is what we have to base ourselves off of. Coexistence is not about sameness. It's not about abandoning our identities. Coexistence is not about completely forgetting about your existence. It's simply making room for others that are also there. You're not completely abandoning who you are or what you do or your ideologies. You're simply making space for those that are around you as well. Coexistence is shared strategy. And I mean this to say that it's important to understand and remember that Nigeria is diverse. We have beautiful languages, beautiful cultures. Even in Adamawa here, I didn't realize how diverse it was until I came here. You have different tribes, different histories, different ethnocratic ideologies, but we're all living in one. So that's what coexistence breeds within itself. When communities are divided, you have suspicion replacing trust. You have that genuine love that we're meant to harbor for each other, replacing every good thing that we have within ourselves. When you see the unfortunate circumstances of, we cannot lie to ourselves here, the people that are being affected the most by insecurity in Nigeria are those in the north. But when we come out to speak up against this, the very first comment we're getting from other fellow Nigerians is, why are you speaking up against your brother? These are your people. Why are you talking about against them? When we let tolerance breed within us, it now makes it easier for you to completely generalize. And when you generalize, you stigmatize. When you stigmatize people, it is easy to forget their sufferings. And you turn them into labels. And when you label somebody, you completely forget that this is a human that also has a desire within themselves to live in peace. It's crucial to understand that you have to dismiss certain fears when you completely ignore and when you label individuals. You completely live in fear. And it's not, to me personally, I do not believe that it's something that is sustainable within ourselves, and it's breed conditions in Nigeria where we are completely turned about against each other. Insecurity is being bred, not because it started completely with violence, but because it started with a distance. It started with a distance in understanding. It started with distance in human empathy and a distance in human connection. We have a lot of shared values within ourselves as people, and I'm talking based on, I believe most of us here are Nigerians here. And my talk basically here is just based upon how we can make conscious decisions every single day to make a difference, because that change really just begins with us. It requires listening when it's easier to judge. It requires you to not stereotype. It requires courage. And perhaps most importantly, it requires you to understand that our destinies are connected. And as I was saying earlier, coexistence forces us to realize a certain issue, a certain truth that humanity is forcing us to understand, which is that we rise or we fall together. And I want you to repeat after me so it sticks in your head. We rise or we fall together. The thing about the challenges in our world is that it faces us in certain instances: insecurity, poverty, lack of access to quality education. These challenges that we face do not ask you where you're from first. It doesn't stop at state lines. These challenges are not going to ask you what tribe are you before they hit you. They're not going to ask you what religion are you before they hit you. It's a shared issue that we have. And so because of that, we cannot allow ourselves to become fully encapsulated in our differences, that we do not see that it's a shared problem. And if it's affecting one person, it will affect the other. If you concede to one issue, it will definitely come back and affect you. What you're thinking is, this is not my issue. This is not something I'm going to speak up against. I promise you, it's going to come and meet you at your doorstep. Again, we rise or we fall together. When you have instances of attacks, I would give you a very good example. Speaking up against a certain influencer or a certain human rights activist, such as myself, that was taking up an enforced disappearance, is what we call it, in the activism space. When they were picked up, arrested, detained, with no grounds whatsoever. And when you have people like us coming out to speak up against it, the very first issue you say, what's your business? Why do you care about this? But in this instance, you can understand that if you keep quiet about a certain injustice happening to one person, it will certainly come and meet you, and nobody is going to speak up for you. The joy and the good that you want done to yourself, you have to make sure that you're doing it to people as well. You cannot be selfish. You cannot allow your ideas, or maybe this person is not my tribe, I'm not going to care what they say. You cannot allow that happen. I work in peace building, as my presentation was stating earlier, and one thing that I have learned constantly is that peace is not just an ideology. Peace is not bred when you and I are sitting in classrooms. Peace is not learned in hallways like this or classrooms. You have to understand that peace is built in every single day decisions. You have to make a conscious effort within yourself to say, I'm going to change and I'm going to do something different today. I'm going to be a peaceful person. I'm going to advocate. It starts with everyday simple decisions that you can make. It's not some far-fetched idea of us living in a peaceful place. I'm very sure we've seen several images of a person just throwing trash by the road, and then they want a cleaner place, but you're not consciously making an effort to get that place to where it is. It starts with little actions that you can make every day. As you're leaving by the road, I'm very sure some of you would go with these water bottles that are in front of us, and you would just trash it by the road. It starts with everyday little decisions and conscious efforts to build peace within itself and any change that you generally want to see. Imagine a world where you have children being taught empathy, or being taught that you have to embrace coexistence as much as we teach mathematics as seriously. Imagine how beautiful the world would be if, right from the early stages, we're taught the importance of living in peace with each other. Because I believe it's certainly, long overdue for us in Nigeria to understand the values in coexistence. We have to teach them young. And I'm saying this because a lot of us here might be parents already, or some are going to get married soon. Some have friends, some have younger ones at home. You have to breed this teaching from within. And it's something you have to teach them from the grassroots themselves. I'll give you a really quick example. As previously mentioned, I own an NGO called Change Begins With Me. And with this non-governmental organization, what we did once is an activity where we had a balloon coming across as a short activity that they would do. We did little exercises here and there. And what we asked them was, okay, you've done this, here's a balloon as your reward. But consciously, we gave half of the class and we didn't give the other half. What we asked them was, are you free? Are you willing to share it? Some of them were, some of them weren't. And when they started struggling over the balloon, what happened? What happens when you pressure a balloon? Exactly. It popped. And I really wanted them to understand that this is how fragile coexistence is. If you pressure and you push and you push and you push, it's going to pop. And that pop is what's leading us to insecurity. That pop is what's leading us to lack of quality infrastructure in this country, lack of access to quality education, and corruption, obviously. That's what happens when you're too selfish to see it within yourselves. And as I'm bringing in towards nearly the close of my presentation, I'm going to bring you back to what I started speaking on, which is tolerance. You have to understand that tolerance does not mean that you're going to completely disregard yourself, as I was saying earlier. Because we have to aim higher than tolerance. We have to aim higher than saying, hey, we're just going to tolerate your existence. I'm just going to tolerate your existence. I'm just going to tolerate your existence. Because it's going to breed an unhealthy relationships for ourselves. A very good instance, imagine you make a decision in your home or an in-law. That's why earlier I was asking you if you've ever been told to just tolerate somebody. If you are getting married and you're told, just tolerate this person, it's not going to last. So what makes you think that this ideology that we're placing on ourselves does not breed the same for our communities? If we say we're just going to tolerate, I'm just going to tolerate the Igbos, I'm just going to tolerate the Yorubas, it's going to breed clashes. We're just going to tolerate headsmen. Well, look what's happening now. Tolerance asks us to endure one another, while coexistence asks us to value each other. Tolerance creates distance, while coexistence breeds and builds that connection. Tolerance says that you can stay, but coexistence says that we belong. And our shared existence as people believes solely and will depend solely on us remembering that this world is going to divide us in different ways. It's going to divide us based on our religious beliefs. It's going to divide us based on political ideas, what party you support, what person you're not going to vote for. It's going to divide us. And there's every tendency for us to concede to that ideology. Hell, I've even seen people fight over which football team they're supporting. You have to understand that it's increasingly dividing us, and belonging is the most powerful gift we can offer one another. You and I here that we're speaking, and to whoever is joining us online. Belonging is what we can offer each other. The question before us is not whether we are different. You and I are definitely different. We're male, we're female, we're different tribes, we're definitely different. The question is what we choose to do with those differences. Are we going to allow it to divide us? Or are we going to let it become a strength that we would not let anyone turn into a weapon against us? Coexistence is not about being the same person. It's not about being one or sharing the same ideology. It's about creating room, creating a space where we can all live in peace and we can all live as one, which I promise you is possible, but we have to make that conscious effort within ourselves. The end, our survival, it depends on us remembering, and I will bring me back to my topic which is beyond tolerance. Our shared survival as human beings depends on coexistence. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.